Ahoj, já vás zdravím u posledního videa tohoto roku. Hello and welcome to my last video of this year. Today I would like to talk about the Czech cases, but from a different point of view. This video will help you understand Czech mentality. Let's get started. Ahoj, vítejte na mém kanále Czech by Zuzka, kde vám pomocí angličtiny vysvětluju českou gramatiku. When you ask a Czech person about the grammatical cases, they will probably answer you something that will not really help you. Their answer might be, pádové otázky. You have to learn them. První pád, kdo, co, druhý pád, koho, čeho. And you're like, what? What is that? I've never heard of that. Truth is, this is what everyone will tell you. Everyone who doesn't teach Czech as a second language, which is many people. Not very helpful for you, I guess. Let me tell you briefly why we talk about these questions, these case questions. This is what we study at school, in the elementary school. When we are in the 3rd grade or the 4th grade, I don't remember exactly, we start to learn about the structure of the language, and then we learn about the cases in Czech. I mean, the Czech children who are used to listening to Czech language 24/7, they read in Czech, they think in Czech. And then at school, we learn to identify each case with the help of these specific questions, pádové otázky. These specific questions help us identify or verify what case a certain noun or a numeral or pronoun or adjective is. For most people who are not native Czechs, this is useless. Well, not exactly useless. Useless in terms of identifying the case. This will probably not help you unless you're used to thinking in Czech. When I have a word in a sentence and I want to know its case, I verify it with one of these questions. In my head, I do this every time, unless I'm sure that's the case because I've already taught Czech long enough. Let me show you what I mean. First, let's take a look at these case questions. With these questions, we ask about a person, that would be the kdo, all the words starting with K, and about an object, about a thing. Those are the words that start with C or C with the háček, C or č. And also, in Czech, we are really not used to using the words nominative, genitive, accusative, etc. We call them case number 1 or the first case, the second case. I was not familiar with these Latin names until I started teaching Czech for foreigners 6 years ago, over 6 years ago. And I had to learn those names, nominative, accusative, genitive. I actually had a cheat sheet when I started teaching Czech. So let's take a look at these mysterious questions. První pád, first case, which is the nominative for you, nominative, is kdo, co. Asking about a person and a thing. Kdo means who, co means what. We are asking about a subject, so this would be related to the subject. The second case, druhý pád, which for you is the genitive case. The genitive case is koho, čeho, which would be something like of whom and of what. The third case, which is the dative case, is komu, čemu, to whom, to what, something like that. It's not precise because this can change depending on the preposition. The fourth case, čtvrtý pád, is the accusative case and is koho, co. For whom, for what. There is no preposition, so we have to kind of add it. We could add pro koho, co. But also there can be all kinds of prepositions. This lesson is just to expand your horizons. Don't take me seriously. Don't learn everything that I'm saying. I just want to show you what's going through our heads when we talk about grammatical cases in our native language. And it's very different to learning Czech as a second language. Case number 5. Pátý pád is the vocative case, and here it's not a question because we cannot ask a question. It's simply a statement. Oslovujeme or voláme, which means we address and we call someone. For example, Zuzko, I would know, Zuzko, this is where we address someone or we call their name. Case number 6. Šestý pád. That's the locative case for you. O kom, o čem, about whom, about what. And finally, the 7th case, sedmý pád, which is the instrumental case. I don't need the cheat sheet anymore. Is s kým, čím, with whom, with what. And this preposition can change because you might know that we don't have to have this specific preposition always. Now I've translated these phrases, these questions, and you might be thinking, okay, what is this for, Zuzka? Are the case questions really useless? They kind of are. We can look at it in 2 ways. The first, yes, they are useless. Forget about this. Second, not that useless. You can simply memorize these questions like a poem. Don't think about them, just memorize them like a poem, even with these common prepositions that will help you link it to the right case, to the right form. And this will be helpful for you if you want to refer to a person or a thing. So if you're asking who and what in a specific case, you will be able to do that properly. But not as the Czechs do, because you will have to have a slightly different order when identifying the case. Let me show you what I mean. Let's take a look at this sentence. Zeptal se pana učitele. He asked the teacher. Pana učitele means Mr. Teacher, literally. It's a proper way of addressing a person with a certain title or a profession. Pan učitel. Pana učitele is a word in a specific case. We don't know which yet. Maybe you do, but Czech speakers, me included, would ask. Zeptal se koho čeho? Koho čeho? Druhý pád. Genitive. Zeptal se koho čeho. This is what's going on in our head. Zeptal se koho čeho. That means the second case. Druhý pád. Of course, we have to have this memorized. We know that the second case, the genitive, goes with these questions. And why do we ask who and what? Why do we ask 2 words? Why don't we ask just koho if we know this is a person? Well, because koho doesn't only correspond to one case. Take a look at this table and you see koho can also be accusative. So we need to make sure that we don't confuse these cases, as well as co. Co can also be both nominative and accusative. So this is the whole mystery. Learners who are not used to listening to Czech all the time and think in Czech will not find this helpful at all when it's understood. How would you know zeptal se koho čeho makes sense? This will not help you identify the case, for sure. When you have this sentence, you would have to know that zeptat se typically goes with the genitive case. You just have to memorize it. There is no way around it. Zeptat se plus the genitive case. So you know already this is the genitive. Then you would have these questions memorized and you would be able to put the case questions right after. Genitive equals koho čeho. How is this gonna be useful in real life? Like I said, it's not going to be useful for you to identify the case because you have to do it yourself out of memory. This is going to help you if you want to ask a certain part of information in the sentence. For example, you didn't hear it well. Someone said, zeptal se so you didn't hear what they said. You guessed it was someone, so naturally you would ask, zeptal se koho? Koho se zeptal? You can ask in 2 ways. You can say, koho se zeptal? Koho se zeptal? Who did he ask? Or you could also use a different order. Zeptal se koho? Zeptal se koho? He asked who or whom. So this is how the case questions can be helpful for you to correctly ask questions. Once again, you can forget about the case questions. That's 1. Or 2, you can find some advantages if you're up for learning a little bit more about the Czech language and understand more the native speakers. You can ask certain parts of information from the sentence about who or what if you want to verify that piece of information, and those case questions can also help you memorize more pronouns related to a person or a thing. Because, for example, the word co is related to něco, something, And kdo is related to někdo, someone, or nikdo, no one. So it can help you build more vocabulary. Let's take a look at more examples. Let's go through these sentences together so you know how you can apply the case questions. You have them written here so you don't have to stress out about memorizing them. Just follow me. Let's try to think in Czech. Přišla tam Markéta. Markéta came there. Imagine you want to ask about Markéta. You want to ask who went there. You would ask in Czech. Kdo? Kdo tam šel? The case question is kdo co. Kdo co, which is the nominative. Kdo co? Kdo tam přišel? Kdo tam přišel? We have to change the verb to masculine. Kdo tam přišel? Markéta. Markéta tam přišla. Všiml jsi z toho taky? Did you notice that too? We want to ask about toho. Všiml jsi z koho čeho? Koho čeho? This ending actually helps you see the pronoun. Koho čeho? The pronoun in the case question. So if I wanted to ask, what did you notice? Čeho jsi všiml? Čeho jsi všiml? What did you notice? You cannot ask, co jsi všiml? Because všimnout si, to notice, always goes with the genitive case. A native speaker would probably not tell you like right away, oh yeah, I know všimnout always goes with the druhý pád. They would have to verify it. They would say, všimnout si koho čeho, jo, koho čeho. Genitive. Of course, if we were asking about a person, who did you notice, it would be koho. Koho jsi všiml? By the way, I'm using the color coding from my ebook just in case. Color coding for these cases. Dědovi můžeme koupit hodinky. We can buy a watch to our grandpa. Let's ask about two things. Let's ask about hodinky. So we want to ask, what can we buy him? Můžeme mu koupit koho co? Koho co? Hodinky, this is the accusative. Koho co mu můžeme koupit? Again, you as a learner would probably have to think koupit plus an object. That is the accusative case. Therefore, hodinky must be accusative. And koupit also goes together with another word, usually another object. To whom can we buy this watch? Komu čemu? Komu čemu můžeme koupit hodinky? Dědovi. Komu čemu? If we were asking to whom can we buy this watch, we would ask komu můžeme koupit hodinky? Or imagine you really didn't hear, there was so much noise, you would only hear this. Then you would say, komu můžeme koupit co? Cože? Jarmilo, jsi to ty? Jarmila, is it you? We're gonna ask about Jarmila, Jarmila, and we're addressing her. Jarmila, we're talking to her. Oslovujeme, voláme. This is the vocative case. O té tašce nikdo nevěděl. Nobody knew about that bag. Let's ask about tašce. Té tašce. Here it's easy because o as a preposition will help us tremendously. O kom čem nikdo nevěděl, which is the locative case. O kom čem. If you wanted to ask, nobody knew about what? It would be nikdo nevěděl o čem. O čem nikdo nevěděl? And let's ask about nikdo. How would you ask, who didn't know about the bag? Kdo co? Nominative. Kdo co? Kdo nevěděl o té tašce? And finally, krávy se živí trávou. Trávou. Let's ask about this piece of information. Čím se živí krávy? Trávou. Kým čím? Therefore, this is the instrumental case. This means the cows eat grass. Literally something like the cows are nourished by grass. Živit se takes the instrumental case. Pretty useless, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. But if you learn this, you can test the Czech natives on the Czech cases. In my opinion, these questions are not helpful for learning cases. It's up to you if you want to learn these case questions. They can be useful for something else, like I said. Now, let's do an exercise together. Let's take a look at these 4 sentences. First one, really important. Mám díru na ponožce. There's a hole in my sock. Literally, I have a hole in my sock. Imagine you didn't hear because there was noise. Mám díru na ponožce. Cože? In what do you have a hole? I, as a native Czech speaker, would ask na komčem, which is the locative case. You would probably do it the other way around. You would say na. Na can take accusative or locative. How do you even know that? Well, we have to learn that. For example, I have this overview in a just in case ebook. These are the prepositions that always go with certain cases. And then there is another page that shows you prepositions that can go with two cases depending on certain situations, certain verbs. So for example, na can be accusative or locative. Na ponožce, as we said, is locative. So you would ask, na čem máš díru? Na čem? And imagine you didn't hear this piece of information. Mám díru na ponožce. Cože? Co? And you would ask, what do you have in your sock? Co máš na ponožce? Koho? Co? Číslo 2. Petr se ničeho nebojí. Peter's not afraid of anything. How would you ask, what is Peter not afraid of? It would be čeho? Koho čeho? Koho čeho is the genitive case. Čeho se Petr nebojí? Ničeho. You see that these are actually pretty similar. So this is how it can help you. Číslo 3. Nevěřím jí ani slovo. I don't believe a word to her. How would you ask? Who do you not believe? Komu? Čemu? Komu čemu? This is the dative case. This is the accusative. Nevěřím komu co. A 4. Viděli jsme to v televizi. We saw it on TV. Where did we see it? On what did we see it? V televizi. V can also take two cases, either accusative or locative. You can see it right here. This is the locative case. Location, we saw it on TV. So we would ask, on what did we see it? V čem? In Czech we see it in TV. V čem jste to viděli? V televizi. This is all I wanted to share with you for today. I would like to thank my student Meir for this idea and also Katka, who asked me about this specific topic. I would like to hear your opinion on this. Do you think learning the Czech case questions is any good? Or is it something you can forget about completely? Mějte se krásně, přeju vám hezký zbytek roku. A děkuju, že jste se mnou byli po celý tento rok 2024 a těším se na další spolupráci v příštím roce. Na viděnou, nashledanou, čau, ahoj, čus!